Hello, welcome to the Tim and Jen Show. My name is Tim Ryan.
Hi, you guys, and I'm Jennifer Jimenez Ryan.
How the hell's everyone doing? It's 2 days before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
It's
a very chaotic, a very interesting, a very new kind of Thanksgiving and holiday season. I hope everyone is well, and your families are well.
Yeah, we got COVID. We got Trump finally letting Biden kind of come in and do some transitions, but we'll stay out of the politics.
We got a pandemic within a pandemic happening.
Yeah,
we have cold air happening now. It's
getting nice
almost
out here in Los Angeles. Unlike last week, we were in Chicago for 36 hours, and it was brutal. I did a walking 12-step meeting on Sunday morning.
Bones hurt.
And it was sleeting and rainy. But anyhow, glad to be back in LA. But what I'm really excited about is our badass guest we have today.
Yes. I'm kind of geeked out over it. Like, I so love him. I have so much love and respect, and we've been buddies for a long time, so I'm really excited.
Yeah, we have a gentleman I met, almost 2 years ago out here, Peter Mills. And Peter is a musician. He's a producer. He's an entertainer, and he has this new project called The Sweet Kill. And I'm not going to give it any justice by even trying to explain what it is. Let's welcome Peter Mills. Peter! How are you?
Hi. Thanks for having me. Well.
Being on, it feels so weird. I kind of went, ooh, because he calls you Peter, and I'm like, oh my God, he's so grown up.
I just won't call you late for dinner. Do you prefer Peter?
I'm usually with my mom. Only calls me Peter. Actually, she calls me Mi Pedrito. So
then I'm calling you Peter.
All right.
Hi, Pete. Pete Mills.
Hey.
From Canada.
Oh yeah, all the way up from north, eh?
How north?
Just north of Seattle. So it was like a 2-hour drive just to see some really cool shows back in the day, or like a 4-hour drive to Portland. So yeah,
I can kind of hear the accent now.
So that's how you planned your high school days, was shooting across the border to Portland or Seattle to see gigs.
Absolutely. Yep.
That's awesome.
What was the music scene back then? Like, who were some of the bands that were really inspirational to you?
For me, at that time, it was Overkill, Sonic Youth, Nine Inch Nails, and Guns N' Roses. We had some hilarious. We all dropped acid crossing the border, and it all started kicking in by the time we hit Tacoma. And we all went in, and we're all just completely tripped out. And then all of a sudden we needed to smoke. So we went outside to smoke, and we just left we didn't know what we're doing. We left the auditorium. We weren't allowed to back in. And the security was like, yeah, too bad, guys. And we're almost in tears going, we drove all the way down to see Guns N' Roses. And then I saw this door open, and I'm like, guys. And we all just run in. And next thing you know, we graduated from nosebleeds to the floor.
That's awesome.
It's funny.
How old are you right there?
I was 16.
Wow.
It's funny you say that, because one of the bands I always want to see, I'm actually wearing their shirt. I think they're the greatest band in the world. It's Rammstein, industrial metal band out of Germany. And my buddy and I finally went to see him, I think, in 2006. But we were so drunk and doing so much blow and smoking so much weed, I can remember the next day we're at his house, and I'm like, man, they didn't play this, they didn't play that. And then we got on YouTube, and guess what? They played all these songs.
Oh my God.
But we were so messed up.
Yeah.
You're there, but I never understood that. I want to go to a concert and party or drop acid. I used to drop a lot at the Dead shows and stuff, but I don't remember anything.
Yeah, I mean, I remember being burnt out by halfway through the concert, going I need a break, man. This is a lot of work. But interestingly, my last drunk was in a goth club listening to Rammstein, and I was and I'm rubbing elbows with dudes, and I'm just trying to enjoy my beer. And all of those people from all of those 12-step groups, everything they ever said was going through my mind. And I'm just I gotta bounce, man. I can't handle this.
Wait, so, that's your last drink in your bottom? You're like, that's the day that
Rammstein in a goth club.
Wow. And then trying to numb out, and then you can hear the people in the rooms as you're listening to that band.
Yeah. Our hats will be off to you. Or like, can you control and enjoy your drink? And like, I was just like, oh man, this sucks. And then I'm rubbing elbows, about to get yet in another bar fight, and I'm just like, I gotta get out of here, man. And
so let's take it a step back. I was doing some research and watching some previous interviews.
Yeah, we were listening to you. As I was getting ready, I could hear you.
And listening to a bunch of your music, but I was watching you do another interview, and you said, I think it was in first grade, you had tuned in and listened to Kiss, and then you heard Joan Jett, I Love Rock and Roll, and you went to school the next day and was like, that's it. What was that
my mom was raised in Venezuela, so she's pretty much Latina. So she took me there at age 6, and everyone's speaking Spanish. I had no clue what anyone was saying, but I saw a Kiss record, and I go, that is what I want to listen to. So it wasn't as dark as the picture imagery was. It was sort of like palatable. I thought it would be more like Satan this and Satan that, seeing as I'm standing on a burning city, like laughing.
Right.
And so when I returned back to Canada, I was looking for Kiss. I wanted to find Kiss. So I put my mom's radio underneath my pillow. I'd pretend to go to bed at night, but I'd be looking, scrolling through the radio when I found Joan Jett, rock, Led Zeppelin, Rolling Stones, all the classics. And
Pandora's box was open.
So, yes. I love that you're talking about, okay, so Joan Jett, I learned to sing and speak English to in the back of the bus. And I remember everyone being like, I love rock and roll. And I'd be like, I love rock and roll. I still remember that. And your mom is from Venezuela. So do you speak Spanish? I'm Argentinian.
I wish I could say I speak Spanish. I've dated many Spanish women, and I say, hey, can you just talk to me in Spanish? I just love the way the language sounds. And it actually puts me to sleep. Like, I don't need any,
So you probably were in situations like me when I'm with my mother-in-law and Jennifer. My mother-in-law tends to forget that I don't speak Spanish.
Yeah.
And they'll be having conversations, and she'll be looking at me. I'm like, Ma, English?
Yeah.
English? Oh, I'm sorry. But she still talks to me.
And I do it too, every now and then too.
Especially when she's angry. All these words come flying out.
I know those words.
Oh my gosh. And wait, so you've like lived like the extraordinary life. And I think something that people don't know or may not know is that you're a musician. You have all these talents and traits, and you're a producer, and you produce all these people, other people.
I mean, Sheryl Crow, Moving Units, Teddy Riley. I mean, you've worked with some pretty badass people.
I love what you've said about how you describe the kind of music you do. And that it's dark wave pop. Now, I never have heard that before.
Well, it's a phrase that I think came after the fact. So I didn't really know why I was gravitating. I mean, like Monday nights at the Twilight Zone, there's a thing called goth night. So I'd just go. And I just felt like it was a bit intimidating because of all the smoke and everyone's like wearing black. But they were so friendly. And I realized that like, I grew up when I grew up in high school, I was an athlete. So I played football, but I also played in a very punk rock band. So I was a rocker to my football friends, and I was a jocker to my rocker friends.
Wow.
So I love that.
And when I'd get to the golf club, I found that like these are the people that would get bullied by the jocks. These were the people that were like ostracized socially, and they were the nicest people. They just welcomed me regardless of like, I didn't maybe look the most gothic as compared to others. And I realized it was that moody 80s thing that I just love. It's so dramatic and so like shoegazy and sad and theatrical. So I guess like that's a phrase that a lot of people, when I say like over here in LA, I find that there's like a big following of this movement, but not many people know it's called dark wave. They just know it in their own version. And so I sort of like looked into it, and it's becoming more codified now than it ever has been.
Where the hell do you come up with these words?
I know, I love
codified.
That.
I've never heard that in my life. I mean, that's what I like about you, Pete, though. You're, when I meet you in person and met you, I mean, you're
infectious.
You remind me of myself in a way. I wasn't into music. My guitar teacher told my mom that I should quit. My piano teacher, I suck at music. I can't sing.
I disagree with that. there's a way around that, but
that's another conversation.
Yeah.
But the point is, you know, I hung out with the jocks, the goths, the punks, everyone. And it's interesting you say the goths were some of the nicest people. They truly were. And they got picked on because they like to wear black makeup or have dark hair and dark clothes and love the Cure or
I
even
just feel like it's freedom of expression.
It is.
The way that we've labeled everything in life. And I kind of want to get a little bit more into you and like what you're about and like your lyrics, and like you say something about like your you like to sing about and write about toxic relationships and like your recovery, and that's like something that like you're such a kind person, right? Like, I mean, like you've always been so sweet. And again, like we all watch each other, right? And we've kind of grown up together, at least for a while.
How long have you guys known each other?
15. No, 16 years.
16, yeah, because I was kind of...
Yes, I got sober 16 years ago, came to LA at 15 years of sobriety, and that's when I met you.
That's when you were new to the city, but you have more time than I do. And I was like, you were so kind. And like from the day that I met you, you're the same exact person, like the kindness and sincerity. And you're just really like a light. And again, like it's such an honor to know that we've kind of grown up together in the recovery world, but yet in life, you know, and to see us both evolve and, you know, and uncover, discover, and discard. And it's been a gift, a bit like to see you blossom. Like you're just
appreciate you. Likewise. I mean, I think my upbringing into the recovery community had been very integral on the foundation that my sponsor at the time was he emitted so much love, and I couldn't deny that. Like you cannot deny the way you feel when you're around somebody who's tapped into that source. And I just remembered it was like, well, will I ever be like that one day?
Yeah.
And then he's like, the question more is like, are you ready to do that one day? It's not about, it's a matter of when. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And so when I started to turn the corner of like understanding like this whole thing revolves around unconditional love and tolerance, then I sort of put everything to perspective. Like, who am I to be better than anybody else? Who am I to judge you? Who am I to, you know, time means nothing as far as like, you know, to say like, because I got this amount of time that I'm going to be condescendingly saying to somebody, you got to do what I do if you do as I say, or else, you know what?
Right.
Like this unconditional, like, understand. One guy after a meeting once, I was just talking to him, asking him questions, what's going on? And then around the half an hour mark, after the meeting, he goes, you know what I really realized is you didn't try and give me your number. Like, yeah, that did. Anyway, so back to what's happening.
Yeah.
And then finally he goes, hey, can I get your number? I'm like, sure. Like, it was that sort of like ability to kind of actually have a rapport versus like, here's my number. And it's like, who's this I'm putting in my phone? I don't know. You know, like to actually have a rapport built. And that's what my sponsor did with me. People cared enough about their program to engage with me.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what you do. Like I know, like, as you're telling the story, I remember like there's been many times where you're like, hey, how are you? And I'm like, blah, you know, like, and it's not like cute at all. And you actually just sit there and listen. Like before we even like had like intense like interaction, became good friends. Like, and I'm like, and then you'd come up to me like the next time I saw you at a meeting, you're like, how's it going with blah, 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 or this or that. And I'm like, I can't believe you remember. Like, you know, right. I mean, you actually remember these things, and you're so genuine. You really
so let's
are.
Get back into more music.
Like
here.
I'll just mush you.
She'll talk recovery with you all night long. That's a good thing. You play a number of different instruments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was like at age 8, I didn't do any team sports. My parents were worried about that. So then they thought, well, if he didn't like tennis, maybe he'll like playing guitar. And I'm like, don't tell me what to do. So I had the guitar sitting there, and it just meant nothing to me until like Guns N' Roses came around. And I realized, you know, I think I'm a rebel. That's what it really comes down to. And I actually want to learn how to play an instrument. And it came from this. I had to come from me. Like when someone tells me to do something, I'll do the opposite. How do you kill a room full of addicts? Hey, breathe. Tell me what to do.
Yeah,
exactly.
And everyone just dies, right? Because they don't want to breathe because you told them to. So I came across I wanted to learn how to play an instrument that was easy. So I thought bass has got 4 strings. I'll just do that. Plus Duff McKagan from Guns N' Roses is my hero. So he's the tall, cool one. I mean, yeah, everyone likes Slash, and of course everyone likes Axl, but Duff, that guy like wears a little padlock around his thing. And I didn't realize what Duff was doing was he's giving credence to Vicious, who's another bass player. Right? So it was a common thing that like what Sid would do, Duff would do, but Duff would do it in his own way. And I kind of felt like he's the tall guy, he's the odd man out, and I was the tall guy in my band. So, and then I realized I couldn't write songs on bass. So I started to play guitar. And then I realized that if I went from bass to guitar and take our really horrible drummer and turn him into a bass player, like I'll transmit what I understand about being a musician to him on the bass level, and he'll be good. And he actually got really good because of that. And then we got the best drummer in Canada to be our drummer. And then all of a sudden the floodgates open. And then I started to see that there's this thing called recording, and we got this huge record deal. And I started to see like, all you do is you put the mic and then you EQ it and then you put it to a compressor and you send that to the computer, and then that's a bass sound. Okay. Why are these guys getting paid so much money doing that? Well, that could be a thing I could learn. And then I did. And then, so then that opened the whole Pandora's box about getting a studio and getting all the equipment. And then like applying all of the musicianship and the technicalities to them becoming creative. So there's literally a right brain, left brain thing happening. And that's when I started to really flourish as far as like incorporating both of those equally, or like, you know, as a back and forth too, like a dialogue.
What was the first band that you guys formed, that you played in?
After 2 weeks, I joined a band called Flash Bastard, and we were just like arrogant. Like we would break into our mom's closets and wear all their clothes. That was one day, like, guys, we got to bring it into our mom's closets, and next rehearsal, we're going to be looking like our moms. Cool. So we just did that. And I remember I was like running home from football practice to get into my mom's closet to get to rehearsal.
Hold on, I got to get my mom's girdle.
My mom was like, well, try out one of my wigs. I'm like, no, I'm not really into the wig thing, but give me like your dress and you know. So cool. And that band, like we just sucked for like so many years until all of a sudden we didn't. And I don't know why we just turned that corner, but because as the addiction was ramping up, so was the awareness, and we were like getting all this press, and it's like, so the more turbulent we became, the more the press would be all over it. Like we were always on Much Music, which is the MTV equivalent up in Canada. We're always doing like video interviews and just being complete idiots. And it's all online now. I just kind of took all those videos and sort of threw it up online for fun.
Isn't it wild though? Like the more you are in your addiction at that time and the more chaos you're creating, the more they're condoning that behavior. And that's so opposite of what we're all about.
Right.
Go ahead. I want to read something as I was trolling your information and stuff out there. You know, bringing us the dark side of pop is an artist by the name of The Sweet Kill, a one-man's mysterious pop-synth project swelled with emotion. The Dark Lord is lead singer, multi-instrumental producer Pete Mills. Mills channels the energy of the suicide of his bandmate, his personal battles with addiction to find liberation from his inner demons in music. Preceding the origins of the Sweet Kills, Mills had an extensive career in the music industry, signing with Nikki Sixx's label, you know, and touring. Where do you want to start with that?
I mean, the whole Nikki Sixx thing was word of mouth, because I was hitting up this guy to do some mixing for these demos we did, and he was in cahoots with Nikki. And then we had this producer that I was watching him how he was producing. He was friends with Bob Rock, and Bob Rock was doing some stuff with Nikki Sixx. So it just became like when Nikki Sixx finally came to Vancouver to sign some other band at the time, at the time was a very relevant rock band, like a very modern rock band. He was just like on a whim, decided to stop off on his last day and see us. And he just fell in love with us and made the decision to sign us after 2 songs. And we sucked. Like, I remember I called my singer. I'm like, hey man, Nikki Sixx is coming by. We got to do a little like show for him. He's like, fuck you. And he hung up. And I'm like, oh man, like we got to just like, how do we get this guy in the room for this to happen? And so we like had to do like almost like a strategy move, like a covert ops. Like, how do we get singer into my rehearsal space to get Nikki to see us? It became such an ordeal, and that became the theme of that success in that moment. It was very bittersweet because it was constant management and like behavior modification.
Yep.
And I was saying to Tim at another point, like in addiction sense, he was 9 months pregnant with it. I was 2 months pregnant with it. So I was like on my way to becoming like this disastrous alcoholic. I was the last to know. I'm just like, well, that guy's got a needle problem. He's an IV drug user. I'm not doing that. I'm fine. I'm great.
Yeah.
I'll keep doing the coke and keep doing the booze, and it's part of the lifestyle. I'm a rocker. Yeah. It's all good. And everyone just sort of co-signed that. And we got kicked off of that tour after a month and a half. Midway through it, we started in DC. We made our way across. And when we finally played Red Rocks, we were playing to a sold-out Red Rocks. Our singer went out to try and fight some of the fans. And we were a punk rock band on a metal tour.
Now,
sounds like it too.
You're touring with Motley Crue, the Scorpions. Yeah. Who else? Anyone else?
That was it. We were
and Motley Crue, the Scorpions, and your band.
Yeah, but you have also. I mean, like
that's massive.
Yeah, but that's. I mean, like the story you just told. Like, take a step back and like really listen. Like, Nikki Sixx wants to come see you guys. You're like asking the guy, one of your
trying to get your singer to show up,
and you guys are like trying to coordinate something that like a dream come true for anyone else, and like we're still like going, oh god, okay, well we're doing whatever, we're gonna do it, but like it was destined for you to happen, for this to happen to you, to have this experience, but like it was already all planned out, like way before. Above you, like on a spiritual level. Like, and I just know that, like, I always say when people are like, how did it happen for you? And I'm like, I got discovered. Like, my life literally changed from one day to the next. Like, I can't, but it like changed immensely that only people that got their life changed like that can only understand, and I know that you've talked a little bit about red carpets and like, and the condoning of what I was saying earlier, the condoning of the behavior, what you were doing, like my behavior, the more I was, the same people that would measure me with tape measures, to designers or agents or whatnot, who gave me drugs, to lose weight, to fit into their clothes, were like, you're getting a little out of control. You're out of control now. And now you're like, you've birthed that addiction. I love how you talk about the pregnancy of the addiction. And it's like, it's so crazy because I'm sure you've done a lot of red carpets, high and sober, and the difference of that, it's kind of like having sober sex and being in addiction sex, you know what I mean? It's the same thing, because like for me in a weird way.
Let me explain something. You shoot dope like I did, you don't have sex. It doesn't work.
Well,
I don't care. Thing. I want to go get dope.
Yeah, but that wasn't my thing in the end. But like it's the same thing. Like when people are like, just wait till you have a relationship sober, and it's like have a relationship with yourself as an image. That's so weird, Do you get what I'm saying?
That's I never really sure, my hopes and dreams are always to be like play stadiums and all that. But when it happened, it was like completely out of my control. It was even like out of the realm of the active addiction that was occurring in the band at the time. It was just like, this is actually a foregone conclusion. This is what it's supposed to happen.
Right.
And that's when we got word of this guy named Bob Timmons, right? Remember him?
Yeah, I do.
When I moved to LA, actually, he was my sponsor for a minute before he passed away, because he was like this like dude that like did interventions on Kurt Cobain, on Steven Tyler, on Chris Farley, and he was one of our producers was friends with, or was actually sponsored by him and was intervened on by him. And he was in this band that was helping us at the time. So that's how we got word of the wire that there was this thing called hope, of this idea of recovery, that it could be possible. Like if Ace Frehley from Kiss can get sober, then why can't we? Why can't he? Let's. But we never made the connect, because I think the way Bob would work is that it's like, you got to make the call. And so there's so many people that have been given the call, but not many people have been picking up the phone. Right.
Right. Ooh. Yeah. It's interesting. And what does it take? And there's, whether you talk about God, spirituality, it's a fluke that Nikki Sixx came. You're on a stadium tour. It was destined to get kicked off. You end up in LA. But the people that God or whoever put into your life gave you the tools and the foundation to ultimately get sober, to be where you're at now, 16 years sober, you know.
But you're not just sober. Like, you
No,
know, there's a difference. Like
badass.
you can be like, you know, you could be like abstaining from drugs and alcohol. A lot of people can stop their drugs and alcohol, but in order to walk the talk, you need to, and know the words that you're saying and like live the life that you're living, you really need to do clean house, and you need to constantly clean house. People are like, how did you do it? Like when they really know that I came from, you know, hanging myself and like not being able to do all this stuff to like where I'm at right now. Like I did the fucking work.
Bingo.
I did the work, and I continuously do the work so much that I'm so honest about where I'm at in my life, that like I'm yet in a like sleep deprivation, post-acute COVID lingering symptom moment place, going to therapy, talking about where I'm at, like publicly, because I don't want to stay stuck. I mean, like he saw me again, and I feel like every time I've been doing a podcast, I've been saying I've been crying, but
don't cry.
It's been a thing like lately because it's been really hard. I have foggy memory. We were watching the thing last night.
We were watching 60 Minutes last night. Real quick, they talked about people that have lingering effects from COVID.
Every symptom about,
she has.
And he's been hearing about it for 3 months. And he's like, babe, you're being dramatic. Last night, it was like that. It was like we had
connected
chills, like,
and, you know,
I'm trying to grow, and I'm going to be 15 years sober. And what my point to all this is, you walk your talk, and I walk my talk, and like you have to do the work. People are like, how do you stay sober? Getting sober is one thing, but
staying sober.
Well, getting sober
is the hardest thing.
Living a life of recovery and looking and reflecting on yourself. When I met Jennifer, she catapulted me to a whole different dimension in self-care, self-awareness, get me connected with a great therapist, shutting down my people-pleasing, learning to say no, setting up boundaries. And
I gave him permission for him to be him.
Yeah.
You know, because you guys gave me permission to be me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we need to do that more in society.
Like I look at this whole recovery process as a launch pad for my life to propel and be prosperous and have tapping into the fluidity of source. So, but then there's the people that are like, oh, I'm on my 4th meetings today, and you know, I'm just hanging on by a thread, but I'm sober.
Yeah.
And that's where I feel that like a lot of people misconstrue that idea of the launch pad, and it becomes the cell. So
right.
I'm living everything. I'm doing the deal, and I was doing that at 5 years, and I became suicidal. Like I was gonna jump into the freeway, and I was just like done with the idea. It's like not enough to be sober, even though I'm working steps and have gone through the process multiple times, and I'm taking other people through it. I sat there in front of Marianne Williamson, and I said, "Wow, I want to die." And I'm doing the deal. I'm doing the meditation. I'm doing the thing. And she goes, "Has there been anyone you haven't forgiven?" That lead singer from that band that we went on that tour and got kicked off of, that we couldn't get him to even get into the room at the same time with the opportunity of a lifetime. And we finally did, obviously. But like all of the frustrations, I was like, and I played it coy with her. I was like, yeah, you know, there's probably a few people, and I'm like, but with my meditation, I'm wondering. She's like, don't you see what you're doing? And I'm in front of 300 people putting my hand up, trying to ask a question. And she goes, I just gave you a question for you to ponder, and now you want to talk about meditation? Next. Who's next?
Yeah,
exactly. And I sat down, and Vicky H was sitting next to me, and she's like, used to be the manager of Guns N' Roses. She goes, she went easy on you. I'm like, I hate this.
But you know, it's interesting because what I'm seeing, and especially the recovery here in LA, it's hardcore. It's a real deal. But what I'm seeing is I'm running into more people, and you at 5 years saying, look, I wanted to kill myself. Why? Because there was things I didn't understand I need to forgive, or I need to make amends with, or I need to get honest about. Yeah, I'm sober in this, but I left that out. And whatever the variable is, you know?
Well, I mean, I went through that 5, like, you know, I started all over. And then 10, I was like, I remember I went to go do a show, and the guy that was hosting it. It was 40 years sober. He's still sober. And he's like, how you doing? I'm like, I'm just bitter. And he's like, oh, are you at 9? Are you close to 10? I was like, yeah. He goes, just don't blow your brains out. You'll be fine. And I was like, what? And then like 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, I turned fucking crazy. Like, and I'm like, I think I'm gonna blow my brain. Not really, but like, I'm like, oh my God, I think I'm having a nervous breakdown. I mean, I literally did have a mini little breakdown in my own head. And I started therapy again. And like, I was like another place, another level. But what happened at 5 for you? Like, what made you go, okay, I'm gonna jump, and then how do I change it, and what did you do to change it, and how did you know?
Here's something really interesting that I'll never forget, is that having had that experience that you talked about where your life changed overnight when you had that opportunity to get recognized as an actress, and I got the opportunity to get recognized as a musician, band member, songwriter guy. When I was 5 years sober, I was trying so hard to make it work, knowing that when I'm not trying, it actually works. It's working. And so the amount of energy I was putting into this project I was working at the time was just so diminishing in the returns that I was like, I don't want to live. I'm just sick of like, and I didn't know how to let go either. And everything from that moment was where, when I just let go, and like, I remember I got into 3 car accidents in 48 hours. I called one of my sponsee brothers back in Canada, and he's like, stop the car and walk away. Stop the car and just walk away. Stark raving sober. I'm writing off cars, doing like this erratic. And it was so pivotal, because then I saw that like the higher power took away everything I was like leaning on. Like transportation, the basics of just transportation, the basics of like trying to be recognized in the City of Angels and all that. It was just all removed, and I just was cool with it. For some reason, I met a guy who ironically was sponsoring the guy that I was in a band with, that man who I haven't forgiven. And so I get to see him now every week, and we just kind of like, hey man, you know, that kind of like, I've known this guy forever. We've been through hell and back, and there we are in a home group in a guy's living room. And it was just like, so obvious. It was so clear to me what needed to be done. And it was just and then I said, hey man, is there anything I've left out in one of my last amends with you that I maybe haven't seen? Is there anything that I need to account for that in our relationship? He's like, no. I'm like, okay, so when I uploaded all the videos of us online when we were back in the day drunk, like I probably should have consulted with you. Was that disrespectful? He's like, no, actually it was a good frame of reference for the band I was in at the time. I'm like, okay, what about your ex-girlfriend that obviously I flirted with, but we never did anything, but you know, it's like, no man, that's fine, it's all good. I'm like, so there's nothing. He goes, nope. I'm like, cool. 1 week later, we get a call to do a reunion show. Clubs sold out. Like now I'm seeing this guy every day preparing for this reunion show. We're writing songs together. We're starting new projects. We're going into production together in my studio with other clients every single day. And it's just like, wow, that's just, and then we got this investor. We didn't get a record deal. We had an investor investing in us for 2.5 years. Wow. Just being who we were, because we got back together. I'm just like, who needs a record deal, man? This is where it's at. Like, I'm into this new record industry vibe. This is like,
that's very cool. That's very cool.
Were you 5 years sober when that happened with you and Marianne Williamson?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Was that the thing that she does out in Wilshire, where she used to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
I went to those before. It is so amazing. Like, she's incredible. Like, I'm an that's incredible.
She was a big proponent. She was a big proponent of.
Bam. Yeah. There you go. A Course in Miracles.
Have you done the whole entire book?
Twice.
What?
So the workbook for students, the manual for teachers, and the text.
So I have it. Somebody gave it to me and they said one day, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do with it? It's so big. And they're like, I mean, obviously I know read it, but they're like, don't read it until one day your spirit tells you to go get it and go, and then you'll know it's time for you to do it. And I have it right in that thing right there. I'll show it to you, babe.
And it's been sitting there.
Yeah,
for 15
but like
years.
It's crazy. You just like kind of like, yeah.
It's time. All right.
That changed. That's amazing. And good for you.
Okay.
But you have to be really like, you have to want to be tuned in to get better. And that's what I'm hearing right now. Like, you have to
do the
want
work.
that.
Yeah.
And to do it.
But it's not, it doesn't sound to me like Pete, he wants to live this way. It gets better and better.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a definite, like, results were starting to come in from a magnanimous, it was just like massive avalanche of like love and letting go. And this idea, like what separates between me and you and me and Jennifer is my idea of you and Jennifer.
Right.
That's the only thing. And I need nothing to be happy, but I need something to be irritable. I need nothing to be happy. And so like becoming the hole in the donut was the goal. So the Course in Miracles was having me do meditations for 5 minutes every on the hour. Then it was meditations for 5 minutes every half an hour on the hour. Then it was meditations for 3 minutes every 15 minutes. So you either do that or you don't. But I can tell you when I did that, I was literally living my life 25 minutes at a time. And I was in the web of the fourth dimension.
That's awesome.
I couldn't go too far here. I couldn't go too far there. The road got narrow in a very lovingly expansive way, if that makes sense. The idea of
all your affairs, you were in the fourth dimension in all your affairs, because wherever you were, you need to stop and meditate.
Yeah, like the coffee barista was like, "Hey, why are you so mellow?" Like I'm like, "I don't know, just chill." Like that.
So is it things like that that gave you the opportunity to put something together called The Sweet Kill, but something was an night terror creeper?
Mm-hmm.
Explain that to me. Talk about it.
I don't know. I don't want to officially diagnose myself as PTSD, but like, I don't know what happens. Sometimes certain elements of my life, it's uncertain and I'm a little bit freaked out and I take it out in my sleep. I remember punching through the window, like breaking the window in my sleep. Or I was having a dream that I was in an elevator shaft and it was coming down. So I punched a whole 3-foot radius through my wall, not just like dense. I'm talking like the wall was there's a hole in the wall.
Do you remember doing that?
No, but I woke up to like my fist hurting and drywall in my bed and blood everywhere.
Wow.
So I thought like, I might as well write a song about it. I mean, so the whole purpose of The Sweet Kill is like, yes, I'm this nice, affable Canadian, stereotypical nice guy, but I didn't end up in AA for no reason. I didn't end up in the last house on the block because I was so nice. Like, there's this darkness, and I'm a Gemini, so there's like this duality that is constantly I'm living with, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're a Gemini," and there's always that. Those who understand astrology kind of find it funny, and I'm like, "Yeah, there's two of me, so welcome to the threesome of this conversation," kind of thing. And so, in this whole purpose of the duality is to give. Like to go into the darkness of my writing to create the need for the light. So the kill is the darkness, the sweet is the predestined foregone conclusion that life is all good and I need nothing to be happy. Yet I'm battling constantly within me. It's not about you or if you coulda, shoulda, woulda, and I would be happier if I got the email and why didn't they do this better? And I can't believe it. Page 60 to 63 is pretty much, summarizes that.
Right.
A life run on like the alcohol and the drugs is not my problem. It's selfishness and self-centeredness. So what do I have to do to put myself in position to not be selfish and self-centered is to look at the world as an opportunity to be of service and be of love and service to whomever, however, whenever, because it's not about what I think is the right way to do it. It's just about what's in front of me and doing that next right thing.
Letters to a Vampire.
Ooh, that's amazing.
Yes.
Explain. Talk to us. Recently came out, right?
I miss movies. I really do. I miss the theatrics, the cinematic epicness, the darkness of the theater, and the excitement of like slamming the popcorn when the freaking parts are happening or whatever. And so I've been recently just listening to nonstop classical, and I feel like I'm living my own movie. I feel like everywhere I go, like I'm driving and it's just like these epic swells of strings and cinematic this and that. And that's where I thought at this point in the game, there's no shows, there's no real funneling. I just want to create music that gives people the opportunity to escape into an alternative reality, because maybe the one we're living in right now needs to be shifted. And but the shift is always within me. I'm a sovereign individual who's got the power of this universe within me. So I walk with that. I walk with that confidence and that reality and that acknowledgement. And so what I'm trying to do with music, and that's my love of my life, the power of the universe gave me that passion for music that I just want to give it away, right? Use it or lose it kind of thing.
Wow.
And can you just come and hang out with us for like a couple weeks? Like, I swear, it's like you're the voice, the inner voice that I need to constantly hear. I mean, it's like the words that you're saying are resonating so vividly with me inside. And I want to thank you for that. So we have COVID in July, and all of a sudden, I think it was like August or July, and I see your video and I get blown away.
Yeah, it was
and I'm
badass.
like, King, and we're like dying, and I'm like, it's gonna take me 20 minutes to get to the room, but hold on, I gotta show you something. And I wobble my way over there, hanging onto the walls, and I show him the video, and it was just like, you were like, I needed that so bad. Like, why did you, and where, and it's like you were speaking to all of us.
Everyone at the time when the lockdown happened, everyone was focusing on Italy being that country got hit so hard, and I was like really bummed out, but I was also kind of like, it was all soaking in, and I took that whoa whoa. It's from an Italian song. They have it at the end of the Wedding Crashers where Will Ferrell's like singing it. Anyways, and I wanted to sort of give. I was gonna write originally a song about like what it would be like to have your last breath having a FaceTime with your loved one. And I thought that was a little bit morose and a little bit dark. For some reason, it shifted into an uplifting thing. And I'm pretty uplifting. I'm a pretty jovial. I'm the most jovial goth you'll ever meet. I got blonde hair. I'm happy. I'm a nice dude. So I just said, you know what? I'm going to lean into that. And then this all came to me in a meditation. Go to the cross up the hill, bring all your instruments because you played them on the recording, and just play them one by one, have your friend shoot it. And then my friend, my neighbor, Polly Perrette, was like, you can have one of my houses and just go shoot up in there, shoot the risky business scene. I'm like, okay, cool. And it just was very easy. It's like up on the hill, in the house, juxtaposing between the two. And that was it.
It's funny. We were driving the other day, and I see the cross, and Jen's going, "Why is that up there? And who the hell put it up there?" And in your video, that's a big ass cross.
Massive.
Who owns the land?
I think when we walked up there were a bunch of dudes doing gardening, and I was like, oh no, man, we're gonna get in trouble. Like, we brought all this equipment. Like, I don't want to go all the way back down empty-handed. And so I just turned on to like uber nice mode. I'm like, hey guys, can I help you with anything? And they're like, no, we're good. We're finishing up. Do your thing. I was like, thank God. There is a little bit of a memorial thing there. It's for a couple. I think that they passed away and they wanted it to be always there, so they donated some money or some charity thing. But I was so focused on like selling drums than I was like, okay, what's the historical relevance of this place? I was just like, we got to shoot and we got to make it good. Let's go.
Get in and get out.
We got the drone. Let's just have some fun.
That's awesome.
By the way, like you were like you've thrown a couple things that are like so nonchalant, but like you're like, and I need to teach myself this instrument, that instrument. And I agree with you, babe. Like, okay, so I tried to play, and he was on my resentment list, Mr. Middlestat. He was my 4th grade teacher. I tried to do the clarinet, but I couldn't read any notes whatsoever at all. And so I'd be like literally like this, no music, no sound, nothing coming out. And he told my parents I couldn't play anymore. And so my point to that is I have no musical talent. And we were just talking about it the other day, and I said, babe, if anything, I wish I could like play instruments.
You can sing. You've got a good singing voice.
I mean, but it's only you know that. Like only a couple people know that. But like, not that I think I can. Like, I'm not. You
got enough hot air, and you can probably blow a horn pretty good.
But like the thing is, like you say these things, like, oh, and then I taught myself that, and it's like it's a gift and it's a talent. And you say it so lightly, but it's even your experiences and doing the Course of Miracles, and like the way you talk, the way you are, you're an artist, and like
in every aspect of your life,
and every aspect. I agree with you on that. And it's like, I don't want you to throw that away. Like, I want people to understand that like we all have gifts in our lives, and like what we are all individually good at something, and it's us to discover it, and find it and own it, and to have that, and it and live it, must feel like you are living your best life right now.
Absolutely. I mean, me and my friend from Al-Anon, we have this little thing. I was like, pandemic's the best thing that ever happened, because I get to go leaning into what's right in front of me. And I was talking to Tim yesterday about before the pandemic hit, I was doing a little side hustle, sober companion thing. And I've never done that before. I just started doing it like last year. I was just sort of like, at the end of last year, I thought about, why not? Let's try it out. And it got so like momentous. And when the pandemic hit and lockdown occurred, that just like stopped. And it's like, oh, wow, like, how do I continue like financing? Oh yeah, I have a studio. And then everyone right now is trying to be creative. And so I'm being creative, and people are seeing what I'm doing. They want to do it too. And then they come to me about their songs. And then it's just like talent is constantly coming in and out of that studio. And I'm right now in the process of doing this massive album for this woman. And people are flying in. No, sorry, I'm driving in from Nevada. I've had some rock star people come by as a result of the record label that I work for. So it's just kind of like, this is awesome because everything.
It's cool. You've redefined yourself. I mean, COVID hit, a lot of people lost jobs, or, you know, the Sober Companion, the speaking events, and we had to redevelop as you did, but we did with the tools we have.
Right.
Yeah, it's as simple as that. How do people find you, and where can they follow you?
It's just really simple. The Sweet Kill. And just a quick synopsis of why that I chose those words is because I had a bandmate that hung herself, and she was going to come back into the rooms. She was ready. She was going to, I'm like, oh, she'll do it next week. And for us, that next week never really comes, let alone tomorrow. So I wanted to do a tribute to her. And so I just I got a name that was, that sort of tributes what we had when we collaborated so effortlessly. We wrote so many cool songs. We had so many investors. We had so many opportunities, and just ended. And I really felt at that time I wanted to turn the corner of not being, I wanted to be fully self-supporting in my creativity and not being like, I'm a good collaborator and I will never not do that. But then I wanted to create something that was fully contained and fully me. So yes. The Sweet Kill across all platforms, The Sweet Kill. Sweet is in sugar, kill is in I'm gonna get you. And it's like a simple, I'm really lucky to have got it all, like the emails, the websites, everything is The Sweet Kill. There's no numbers and underscores. It's just straight up.
So I want to, before we end the show here, I want to ask you, have you ever had the opportunity to work or play with any of the members from Guns N' Roses?
I recorded the guy that was going to be Izzy Stradlin's replacement. He's a Canadian punk rocker named Richard Duguay, and he was Duff McKagan's bass player when Duff went solo. So I recorded him, and Duff was going to actually be the bass player for it, but then Duff got busy, and then I ended up being the bass player for it, which is fine. But that was the closest it ever came, other than meeting Duff backstage once, and I just turned into a little girl. I'm like, hey man, you're like a total inspiration to me. Like, I've seen you all my life. And he was like, okay, man. Like, okay, good show.
So I've got to tell you, outside of Ramstein or whatever, I saw them in Buffalo and then Denver twice. It was Guns N' Roses when they toured with Metallica and Ice-T and Body Count. And I'll tell you what, that was some of the best shows I'd ever witnessed music-wise in my 40 plus years of going to see bands.
I mean, like, he's a genius, and like, it's so funny because I know him on a personal level, and I know his wife. I used to bottle with his wife.
Stuff she's talking about.
Yeah, and like, we kind of, like, his wife and I kind of grew up together in the modeling world and stuff, and like, and then I go, wait a minute, like, and I go 2 and 2, you put them together, and I'm like, holy shit, like, he's an icon, and it's so wild, like.
Yeah,
well, it's crazy because, the meetings we attend, there's some A-list people in there that you see that, but they're just normal people, they're musicians, they're actors or whatever. And sometimes I got to sit back and look at my wife, hold on, she's a supermodel, she's an actress, and I'm just a guy that, went to prison and got sober.
Yeah, but we're so conditioned. I feel like all of us are so conditioned to know that, like, when I walk in the rooms, my resume, my IQ are at the door, and I'm just another drunk or addict, I mean, like, and I never want to make that different. Like, I'm no different than anyone else. None of us are, and we're no different. Like, my drinking drug is right here. It's right in front of me if I wanted to.
You were actually working in recovery in your first year, I remember. And I remember, yeah. And you showed up at the meeting and you were like, you were going through something, but you wouldn't share. And I asked you afterwards, I'm like, are you all right? And like, I can't speak. I'm like, why didn't you share? You look like you're a little bit rattled. And you're like, I can't because I'm in front of my clients. And I remember like, that was an interesting thing that I've just recently, for the first time, realized what you were going through back like 13 years ago. I started realizing that now, right?
Wow.
I'm saying, yeah. And I was just like, oh, that's what Jennifer was going through. Like,
wow.
because it's just going to compromise the transport of like all these people. And if they hear like some personal thing. So that was interesting. Like that's what myself and Tim were talking about yesterday, is that like how it can kind of cross over in a weird way.
Yeah.
In like the work that we do in the recovery field, and then the actual, like, we leave our resumes at the door and I'm going to be raw in an anonymous meeting.
So I love that you say that. Thank you. I still remember now exactly where that was. And we were shooting Sober House, I think, at the time. And it was chaos, with Steve Adler. I mean, like all these people against, like, it was insane. And I was like, it was me against them. And I was like, there is no way that I can sit here and like share when they're about to eat me as I'm working. Like, and you do got to be very cautious. And I remember, and I say this often, my sponsor, I remember I was doing The View or something. I was like on the phone with her. I was like, so sponsor, I think I'm gonna do The View. It's really gonna help people. And she was like, yo, let's not get this fucking shit twisted. You are going to do The View for work. Like that is, and I'm like, but I'm breaking my anonymity. And she's like, because you're that fucked up. Like that's how fucked up you are, that you need to break your anonymity on a worldly scale. And I was like, oh damn, and it just like, quickly did I, forget. And I just,
right.
me in tune again. And so again, like our recovery, and we always talk about,
absolutely,
we have to check each other too. Our recovery is different than what we do for our work.
It's different too, because Pete, we speak. I've worked in treatment for 7 years. Jennifer has. We run a nonprofit. We do all this. That's our careers. That has nothing to do with me sponsoring someone or going on a 12-step call. I mean, an intervention's an intervention, but if I'm going over to Susie's house with Jen because Susie had a relapse and Jen's going to sit down and talk with her, that's 12-step based work. But business is business, recovery, my sponsor, everything else we keep separate.
Yeah, and I think it's something, though, that it's really important for people who are out there and feel like they need to either go out and tell the world that they're, in recovery, and this is what recovery looks like. We don't have to shove it down their throat. Or someone who's going, how am I going to incorporate recovery into my real world and yet not break my anonymity and stuff? And so, like, there's that fine line. And what the greatest gift is that we don't take ourselves seriously, and we get to, figure it out as we go, day by day, moment to moment. And,
absolutely,
what is most beautiful is that you do it sometimes at every 25 minutes, that you get to catch that moment to moment. And that is like such an amazing place to be, in that fourth dimension.
I think Pete can start taking you through that book.
Yeah.
I'm down. I'd love to. Like, there are like little study groups online and stuff. I'm personally like a one-on-one kind of a guy, or a small group kind of a guy. I don't know. I feel like it is very dense. Like, we used to read it at one of my home groups, and like I could see people's eyes glossing over, and so it's.
I think the three of us, if you're up to it, right after Turkey Day, let's get together. Let's go have coffee. Let's go to Swingers, have food, whatever.
Yeah, let's do that. But let's also have you come back on the show.
Yeah, you're a badass.
I love that. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, we would love to have you back on. Unfortunately, we're running out of time here. We have to wrap it up. Again, you can follow Pete Mills at The Sweet Kill. Sweet Kill.
And the new video that was just dropped for the winter season is the world that you can get lost into. It's this vampiristic, ominous, beautiful, romantic. I mean, my sponsor was very clear. He goes, you want to write about vampires? Realize that vampires actually have nothing to do with fangs and blood. It's all about the seduction. It's all about how the idea of it becomes more prevalent than the actual execution of the transition of somebody's immortality going into mortality, or vice versa.
Right.
And so, yeah, and so that's the little world that I would encourage everyone to get lost in. And the YouTube channel, there's this really cool video I just did with this amazing director named Leslie Alejandro. Her husband's in True Blood, I believe. and in some other shows on Netflix. And she's just very cinematic and very cool. So
it's beautiful. It's a beautiful.
Awesome.
I saw that today. Absolutely amazing.
So again, we just want to thank Pete for coming on the show. Again, people are out there struggling. You can follow Jen and I at from dope to hope. Dope2hope.com. You can reach us at 844-611-HOPE, and you can follow Pete at The Sweet Kills. Kills or kill?
Kill.
The Sweet Kill. Honor, buddy. We love you, man.
It's a privilege to have you on. We thank you so much for being here, and we really do want you to come back. And
absolutely.
Thank you. I'm really excited about that. We'll figure that one out. And then also, everyone out there, just know there's hope. Please don't give up on yourself or your journey.
Amen.
Yeah, don't rob me of the opportunity to get to know you. Come on.
Yeah, right. I like that.
Yeah.
All right, Pete. We'll see you soon. You know how to work the phone. Give me a ring, brother. We love you.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
I want to talk to you about Clean Cause, better caffeine. What's in the can? Our organic, sparkling Herba Mate is a premium pick-me-up that won't let you down. Every can of Clean Cause contains 160 milligrams of better caffeine, and each sip supports recovery from alcohol and drug addiction. 50% of the profits go to assist people into sober living. Check out cleancause.com.
Seaside Palm Beach is an executive luxury addiction treatment center located in Palm Beach, Florida. Our private clients come from all over the world, including business executives, professional athletes, celebrities, and more. Seaside Palm Beach offers first-class amenities and high-end accommodations, including a gourmet culinary experience, ocean views, pet-friendly facilities, and access to cell phones and laptops during your stay. If you or a loved one are struggling with addiction, please call us at 877-959-5053. Again, that number is 877-959-5053.
It's here and it's now. Dr. Abe Malikan, board certified in addiction medicine, is bringing to you Elite Home Detox, where we can put together a rehab plan for you in the privacy and comfort of your own home. This is a concierge service. We have a medical staff come to your home and detox you exclusively. Check out our locations in California, New York, and Florida. EliteHomeDetox.com.
Now, glutathione is a big word, but it's the body's own master antioxidant. So it's a scavenger for free radicals, for bacteria, and what's relevant now, viruses. This is new to the marketplace. There's no other product on the market that has the ingredient NACET.
And basically NACET increases the production of that glutathione that is in our body already to strengthen and enhance our immune system and keep it strong. Elevated sense of well-being. Supports muscle strength and endurance, cognitive function, powerful liver support, energy, helps blood sugar regulation, superior bioavailability of key ingredients.
One of your best defenses against COVID is a strong immune system. Taking GSH Plus as a daily supplement does all that. And now we have the product out on the marketplace.